This story unfolds in the city of Phoenix, Arizona, where one fateful day at the end of April 2023 forever changed the lives of many people. It all began with an alarming call to the 911 emergency service from a woman who, while walking her dog, stumbled upon a chilling discovery in the desert area behind her house, the lifeless body of a young girl. The morning of April 28, 2023 was typical for this time of year in northern Phoenix. The sun slowly rose above the horizon, bathing the vast territories of the Reach 11 recreation area, a 1,500-acre park popular with tourists and locals alike, in its warm light. The weather was perfect for outdoor walks, with comfortable air temperatures and a cloudless sky. Among the park visitors that morning was Lauren Heike, a 29-year-old resident of one of Phoenix's neighborhoods. She loved morning walks, enjoying the aroma of freshly brewed coffee and the beauty of the surrounding landscape. As always, Lauren set off on her usual route, not suspecting that this time she would not return home. When more than a day passed without any word from Lauren, her friend sounded the alarm. The silence of her phone and the girl's absence from work were highly uncharacteristic of her. No one could understand where she could have disappeared to. The answer to this question came the next day, April 29, when a random passerby with her dog made a shocking discovery, finding Lauren's body. But before delving into the details of this tragedy, let's learn a little more about Lauren Heike herself, whose fate became the center of this real-life crime drama. Born in the city of Yakima, Washington, Lauren spent her childhood and youth there before moving to sunny Phoenix. Those who knew her describe Lauren as a cheerful, energetic, and bright personality. By profession, Lauren was a cosmetologist and loved her work very much, helping people feel more beautiful and confident. She had recently moved into a new apartment near the Reach 11 recreation area, a place that had captured her heart with its picturesque views and peaceful atmosphere. On the morning of that fateful day, April 28, 2023, Lauren called her close friend River Hubble. They had a habit of sharing with each other what they were grateful for each day. During this conversation, Lauren confessed that she was happy to wake up, have a cup of coffee, and go for a walk. She did not yet know that these would be the last words River would hear from her. The next morning, a local resident, as usual, went for a walk with her dog. Suddenly, her attention was drawn to something in the bushes, a motionless female body. Although at that moment the passerby did not yet know the name of the deceased, it was Lauren Heike. In a state of shock, the woman immediately called 911. The recording of this call, which the Phoenix police made public in October 2024, captured every chilling second of this discovery. The conversation lasted almost 10 minutes, during which the woman told the dispatcher that, judging by everything, the body had been lying there for quite some time. As it turned out later, her assumption was correct. According to police information, Lauren disappeared more than 24 hours before her body was found, having gone for her usual morning walk on April 28. The woman who found the body noticed bloodstains on Lauren's sports top. Soon, police officers from Phoenix arrived at the scene. At first, they assumed it could have been an accident typical of a desert area, a fall or heat stroke in a tourist. But as soon as they looked at Lauren, these guesses were dispelled. It became obvious that this was not just a tragic incident. Lauren's body was found off the trail, hidden in the bushes, far from human eyes. The signs of a struggle were undeniable, torn clothing, items scattered around. Let's go back a bit, to the morning of that same Saturday, when Lauren's close friend River began to worry. After their usual phone conversation the day before, full of mutual gratitude, Lauren seemed to have disappeared off the face of the earth. She did not respond to messages and calls. By Saturday afternoon, River's anxiety had grown even more. It was absolutely uncharacteristic of Lauren to miss work. River turned to the police, and at the same time that officers were rushing to the 911 call, other police were checking Lauren's apartment. No one answered their knocking. Gradually, all the pieces began to come together, explaining where Lauren had gone, why she was not answering calls, and why she had not shown up for work. The woman who found the body was not a random park visitor. Her husband would occasionally greet Lauren during her walks. Although they were not personally acquainted, the couple recognized Lauren. But this was just the beginning. Later, 3 more calls came in from witnesses who had noticed a suspicious man lurking near the trail in the park. He clearly stood out from the ordinary tourists, and the eyewitness descriptions gave the investigation an important lead. The case was headed by Lieutenant James Gester of the Homicide Department. His team understood that there was no time to waste. With each passing hour, the tension in society grew. Tourists who had previously felt safe were now afraid to set foot on the trail. The park administration posted a warning at the entrance about what had happened to Lauren, and also strongly recommended that visitors not walk alone. For Lauren, this trail was a familiar route, located very close to her home. However, on the day when a local resident, walking her dog, stumbled upon the girl's lifeless body, Lauren had already been dead for about a day. According to police assumptions, the attack occurred on Friday, between 10 and 11 a.m., in a secluded place hidden from prying eyes. It was this isolation that became the first sign that the criminal was deliberately avoiding witnesses. Numerous stab wounds were found on Lauren's body, the total number of which reached 15. Forensic experts from the Phoenix Police Department immediately began a thorough examination of the crime scene, hoping to find any evidence that could point to the identity of the attacker. Lauren's shoes, found near a barbed wire fence, as well as her personal belongings scattered around, were seized for further analysis for the presence of traces of another person. Meanwhile, detectives tried to understand whether this attack was planned in advance or was the result of a sudden impulse. The condition of Lauren's clothing indicated that she had desperately fought for her life, possibly even trying to overcome the barbed wire fence in an attempt to escape. A real breakthrough occurred after the examination of Lauren's shoes. DNA analysis revealed a genetic profile different from that of the victim herself. This was the first important clue, although more evidence was still needed for a complete reconstruction of the events. Police launched a large-scale survey of potential witnesses, tourists, local residents, random passers-by who could have been near the crime scene on that fateful day. Particular attention was drawn to 3 calls to the 911 service that came in a few days after the body was found. Eyewitnesses reported a suspicious man who was snooping around the trail and clearly stood out from typical park visitors. According to their descriptions, he was a young African American man, dressed in dark clothes, with a backpack on his shoulders. Despite the fact that these details were too vague for an accurate identification of the criminal, they nevertheless outlined a certain direction for further investigation. On May 2, the investigation received a new lead. Detectives managed to obtain footage from a surveillance camera installed near the crime scene. Although the quality of the image was not ideal, the video clearly showed a man running swiftly through the desert with a backpack on his back. The recording time coincided with the approximate time of Lauren's disappearance. The man's running speed clearly exceeded the pace of a normal jog. The police made this video public, calling the person recorded on it a person of interest. Soon after, calls from citizens began to come in. People reported seeing this man in the vicinity of the trail. One witness even mentioned a small sharp knife in his hands, a detail that could link the suspect to the crime scene. Phoenix police officers continued to work tirelessly, delving into all aspects of Lauren's life, her work, social circle, habits. The fact that she had recently moved to an apartment near the ill-fated trail led investigators to think that someone might have been watching her. Was Lauren chosen on purpose, or was she a random victim? During a press conference on May 3, Lieutenant Gester suggested that the attack was most likely an impulsive, spontaneous act. However, he stressed that the police are considering all possible versions and need not guesses, but concrete evidence. Lauren's parents, Jeff and Lana, joined the police at the press conference, urging the public to help find their daughter's killer. Lana, barely holding back tears, said, "She was my little girl." They asked everyone who could have seen a man with a backpack or noticed any suspicious behavior to report it. Their appeal did not go unanswered. Soon new leads began to come in. One informant told about a man who lived less than a kilometer from the crime scene and whose behavior was causing concern. Another recalled that the same person had recently been fired from his job for deceiving colleagues. Pieces of the puzzle were gradually coming together into a single picture. Meanwhile, the examination established that the DNA profile found on Lauren's shoes matched the genetic profile from the criminal database. This was no longer just an assumption, but a real clue that could be grasped. Detectives began collecting information about the suspect, but kept all the details in strict secrecy so as not to scare him off prematurely. The investigators' guesses were confirmed by a probation officer who pointed to one of his charges whose appearance matched the description of the man from the video recording. This young man was on probation for past crimes, robbery and hooliganism. And, most interestingly, he lived very close to the park where the tragedy occurred. Police found out that he had been fired from his job for aggressive behavior toward female colleagues. The suspect was put under surveillance. When he bought a plane ticket to Michigan, it was decided to act immediately. This happened on Thursday evening, just 6 days after Lauren's body was found. For several days, detectives had not taken their eyes off 22-year-old Zane William Teasley, a local resident who lived in an apartment building about a kilometer from the crime scene. The evidence against him looked convincing: DNA on the victim's shoes, a video recording of a man running through the desert, eyewitness accounts of a young man with a backpack. Everything pointed to Teasley. It turned out that Teasley had been on probation since 2018, when he was only 17. At that time, he and 2 accomplices, threatening with weapons, robbed a gas station employee. Having made a deal with the investigation, Teasley received a suspended sentence instead of real imprisonment and had a chance to embark on the path of correction. But instead, his life turned into a series of temporary part-time jobs in fast food establishments and stores, where he never stayed for long. Teasley's former colleagues told police that he instilled fear in those around him, especially women. In 2022, he was fired from a restaurant after yelling at female employees, accusing them of being unbalanced. Around 7 p.m., an operational group arrived at the suspect's apartment. When they knocked on the door, Teasley came out with his hands raised, offering no resistance. He was instantly arrested. The search of the apartment yielded significant results. The police found a small sharp knife, which, according to experts, could have caused the wounds on Lauren's body, as well as a backpack and clothing with bloodstains. The evidence base was growing stronger. On May 5, Teasley was taken to the county jail and charged with first-degree murder, robbery, and attempted concealment of a crime. According to the investigation's version, Teasley not only attacked Lauren, but also stole something from her. During the initial interrogations, the suspect denied his involvement, pretending to be unaware. But as soon as the detectives cornered him with evidence, the DNA match and the video recording, he fell silent, exercising his right to remain silent. On May 6, Lieutenant James Gester, during a briefing for the press, confirmed the absence of any connection between the suspect and the victim. The arrest was a significant step forward, but not the end of the case. Despite the fact that Teasley was behind bars and faced severe punishment, his past indicated that he was a person prone to losing control of himself. The trial in the case of Lauren Heike's murder was scheduled for October 28, 2025. Such a long delay was explained by the exceptional seriousness of the case. The prosecution had strong evidence against Teasley, including the DNA match, video recordings from surveillance cameras, and eyewitness testimony. However, the defense will obviously carefully analyze every element of the evidence base, from mobile communications data to the knife found in the suspect's apartment. In December 2023, the case took a new turn. The prosecutor announced his intention to seek the death penalty if Teasley is found guilty. Lauren's family supported this decision, stating their readiness to be present at every stage of the process for the sake of justice for their daughter. Such a step meant that the trial would require additional time, because cases involving the death penalty go through more rigorous checks and lengthy procedures. But Teasley's legal problems did not end there. In July 2024, He was charged with new crimes, assault and burglary committed back in 2020. It was another crime involving a knife, although that time the victim survived. And on February 5, 2025, 10 more charges were added to this, related to inappropriate behavior toward minors. According to court documents, Teasley is suspected of distributing obscene materials. The suspect denies his guilt on all charges against him. If there are no new delays, the trial is scheduled to begin in October 2025. The investigation into the murder of Lauren Heike is not yet complete, and I will continue to follow its progress. I look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. Until next time, friends.